Society for the Promotion of Indian Classical Music and Culture amongst Youth.
हिप हॉप म्यूजिक के ज़माने में हमारा क्लासिकल म्यूजिक कहीं गुम हो जाता दिख रहा है। नई पीढ़ी के कई लोगों को कथक, भरतनाट्यम, ठुमरी एक अनजाने से नाम लगते हैं, लेकिन देश में कई ऐसे लोग हैं जो न सिर्फ इस सांस्कृतिक विरासत को सहेज कर रख रहे हैं, बल्कि वो हजारों लोगों को इससे जोड़ भी रहे हैं।
स्थापना 40 साल पहले IIT दिल्ली के प्रोफेसर डॉक्टर किरण सेठ ने की थी। ये संस्था हर साल दुनिया के अलग अलग देशों में 5000 से ज्यादा कार्यक्रमों का आयोजन करती है। बॉलीवुड और हॉलीवुड की चमक के बीच स्पीक मैके का लोक संगीत को बढ़ावा देना, उससे समाज के लोगों को जोड़ना एक अच्छा कदम है।
Things that uplift, things that really move human beings. Few young people are going towards that, and we have to rejuvenate the society. We have to make young people think about these things and make them come towards such, at least let them experience some of these very deep moments which many aspects of our heritage can
अगर कोई
provide.
भारत के शास्त्रीय संगीत को पहुंचा रहा है तो उसका नाम है स्पीक मैके।
किरण सेठ जी और उनके साथियों ने ये जो काम किया है वो साधना से कम नहीं है, एक साधक अवस्था से कम नहीं है। भारतीय संगीत और संस्कृति को युवाओं के बीच आपने जीवंत बनाए रखा है। हिंदुस्तान की युवा पीढ़ी की शायद 4 या 5 ऐसी पीढ़ी होगी जो सीधी सीधी आपके काम से संस्कारित।
स्पिक मैके का लोगो है दी वर्टिकल आई और द इनर आई, द आई ऑफ परसेप्शन एंड इंक्वायरी। हमारे लिए म्यूजिक, कल्चर, आर्ट, हमारी सभ्यता, फिलॉसफी वो जरिए हैं जिनसे हम अपनी अमूल्य सांस्कृतिक धरोहर को समझ पाते हैं। वो धरोहर जिसको हम वक्त के साथ साथ किसी हद तक भूलते जा रहे हैं।
कर अभिमान को खाक हो गुरु के कदम की।
हर साल स्पिक मैके के देश भर में फैले वॉलंटियर्स स्कूल्स, कॉलेजेस, इंस्टीट्यूशंस में हजारों इवेंट्स ऑर्गेनाइज करते हैं। इन इवेंट्स से हमारी सभ्यता और संस्कृति वहां पहुंचती है जहां हमारा भविष्य है, हमारा फ्यूचर है, हमारा यूथ।
I think their role is very critical because how many schools, even if they believed in this sort of literacy, would have the sort of resources that Speak MACAY has been able to muster. Children see these people in flesh and blood. They literally, they can talk to them, interact with them, ask them questions. This can be a tremendous source of inspiration on the one hand. On the other hand, the reality of their existence and of a lifetime of work, sometimes generations of work, which they would never get through other experiences.
फिल्म, थिएटर, म्यूजिक, डांस फॉर्म्स, फोक आर्ट और इन जैसे और माध्यमों से हम लाखों लोगों तक अपनी हजारों साल की विरासत को पहुंचा पाते हैं। वो विरासत जो सिर्फ हमारी है, वो विरासत जिसको बचाना या जाने देना सिर्फ हमारे हाथ में है। वो विरासत जिसको आज हमारी जरूरत है।
Support the Artists Initiative. This is an initiative to support those artists who have lost their livelihood due to this COVID pandemic situation. For the welfare and well-being of these artists across the country, SPIC has come up with this initiative to sustain their traditional art forms. Due to the pandemic, these artists are forced to take up small labor and odd jobs for the sake of their family and are trying to make ends meet. The family manages to survive, but their art, culture, and tradition are endangered, which are India's greatest pride and treasure. In order to safeguard and continue these traditional arts and culture of India, SPIC support the artists, features the art and the artist on online platforms, and after featuring, the artists are paid a sum of Rs 5,000 to encourage them to continue their art form. The main aim is to support more than 500 artists. Please help us. Donations, small or big, are always appreciated, or commercial opportunities for these artists are also welcomed happily. India is our motherland. The art and culture is India's identity. Let us keep the art alive by supporting the artists. For more details, write to supporttheartist@spicmacay.com.
हम दरी बनाते हैं यहाँ पर। तो ये दरी बनाने का हमारा खानदानी काम है, परंपरा का, जो हमारे परदादा जी, दादाजी, पिताजी, हम भी बना रहे हैं और पीछे बच्चों को भी समझा रहे हैं कि भाई ये अपना काम बंद नहीं होना चाहिए, ये काम रेगुलर चलना चाहिए। ठीक है, तो ये दरी बनाते हैं। ये दरी है कॉटन थ्रेड, जो मैं बना रहा हूँ वो कॉटन थ्रेड है। इसमें हम वूल जूट भी बनाते हैं, वूल कॉटन भी बनाते हैं, कैमल हेयर एंड गोट हेयर का भी बनाते हैं। तो हमारा क्या है, ये 200 साल से परंपरा का काम चल रहा है। इसमें क्या है, हम लोग देखते हैं कि भाई ये अपना जो खानदानी काम है खत्म भी नहीं होना चाहिए और लोगों को महसूस भी होना चाहिए कि भाई ये हाथ का काम चल रहा है। ये दरी है, जो ये कॉटन दरी है, दोनों साइड सेम होती है, जैसी ऊपर दिख रही है वैसी नीचे है। ठीक है, और हम क्या है बाहर जाते हैं, पहले हम लोग क्या है राजा महाराजाओं के लिए काम कर रहे थे, तो वो लोग हमें कपड़े, अनाज ये देते थे, उससे हमारा पूरा गुजारा नहीं चलता था। इसके बाद में
Namaste. Welcome to the last day of Anubhav 3.0, Society for Promotion of Indian Classical Music and Culture amongst Youth, or SPIC brings to you a virtual tour of National Gallery of Modern Art. National Gallery of Modern Art, or simply NGMA New Delhi, is one of the largest museums of the world. It houses the artworks by the great masters of Indian art over the last 1 century and beyond. The program will be conducted by Mr. Argha Ganguly, Assistant Curator at NGMA New Delhi. Argha Ganguly pursued Master of Fine Arts from Rabindra Bharati University, Kolkata. He has also been engaged on part-time basis as a guest lecturer at College of Art, New Delhi, National School of Drama, Shri Center for Performing Arts, Indian Institute of Photography, Noida, and at other places in the past. We will like to wish you all on this auspicious occasion of Durga Puja and Dashera and request Argha to hence take over. Please join the session.
Thank you, Nikhil, and namaskar to all of our participants and enthusiasts, the whole team of Speak MACAY, and I should also thank to my team, National Gallery of Modern Art, to make this museum available online for any student, any viewer, or any enthusiast. Yes, this particular museum, National Gallery of Modern Art, Rashtriya Adhunik Kala Sangrahalaya, it started with the year 1954 with Jaipur House. We'll come to that particular point. We'll see a few pictures. But before that, what a museum do with us? It's an architecture space. It can be a small museum, a big museum. It's not only about modern art gallery. What a museum kind of offers us. Why we will go to a museum? These kind of questions come often from students, from particularly researchers, and also museum companies. So let's decode this idea of museum or gallery in 5 points, and then we can go to the kind of how this particular museum look like, what activities we do in the museum, and I will also take you through the whole collection. And thank you for the support and giving me this time slot. The first point, what I feel, any museum, any gallery offers us to see the collection. When we go to a science museum, we'll have already a kind of pre-conscious mind. Okay, we will see the collection which is about human civilization, evolution, and thinking process. But when we come to National Gallery of Modern Art, this particular institution offers almost last 200 years practice. It started to kind of map 1850, 1860. At that point of time, who were the storytellers using the visual vocabulary to connect with the audience. So from there we start with miniature painting. Then also we see some of the European traveler artists who came to India, who documented, and also we kind of carry on with the timeline and see the changes and evolution. See also the kind of changes of mediums and practice. See also the kind of self-awakening in the time of 1905, 1910, Abanindranath Thakur, Shitindranath Majumdar. So we just carry on to see the collection. We are interested to know, okay, what National Gallery of Modern Art house in their particular trajectory, who are the important artists. So first point of any museum or gallery is to see and appreciate the collection. The next point of the museum, like whenever we are visiting any museum, we are interested to know who is the artist, what was the time he or she practiced, what was the medium. So the second point is documentation, research, and archiving. So in a museum, we have a team who are not necessarily coming in front of you for the presentation, but they are rigorously working. वो लोग हर दिन they are kind of making the data entry things, and every time they are researching, they are bringing information, who is the artist. Sometimes they are kind of meeting with artists, with the contemporary artists, because National Gallery of Modern Art, it is not only the artists who passed away. We also have the collection of the living artists. So sometimes if we have the family members resource, so we are also kind of updating the information. So the documentation part of the museum, or the archiving part of the museum, is a very important and necessary point. Once we are in the museum, any kind of museum, we start reading the caption. Like we have our identity card, we have a unique ID number. Each of the painting, each of the sculpture, each of the idea has a particular unique ID number. We have more than 17,000 objects in this particular museum right now. But this museum initially started with a sculpture exhibition in 1954. Noted sculptors like Devi Prasad Roy Chaudhary, Shankho Chaudhary, Dhanraj Bhagat, these kind of artists' works were displayed in the first exhibition, and then particularly this museum started to collect artwork. So collection, documentation. The third point is also very important for us, for the museum lovers, for the people who visit museum and enthusiasts. is restoration. अक्सर ऐसे होता है जब म्यूजियम में लोग आते हैं, द सिक्योरिटी गार्ड से ओके पानी के बॉटल इस तरफ रख दीजिए, डोंट टच द आर्ट ऑब्जेक्ट, फ्लैश लाइट मत जलाइए मोबाइल का. वाई? we are thinking about the longevity of the object which already we have collected in the museum. So restoration means you are kind of thinking about how you can put or keep the things properly. We have a team of doctors. I often say they are the doctors because they sometimes heal the painting. If there is any crack or any color is getting fleck off or something is happening, they are the person who bring the art object in the laboratory. They will treat that particular painting for 6 months, 3 months, and then the particular painting or the object or the sculpture or the idea is ready. The visual object, what we present in the museum, is ready to go back to the display place. So restoration and conservation is a very, very important teamwork in the museum. So you start to kind of like think about the longevity. You don't touch the works. The fourth point, you have restored the paintings because we have paintings of Ravi Varma. He lived from 1848, he was born, and he lived till 1906. So almost like 100 years ago or 150 years ago, if someone's artwork or painting we have to kind of restore those objects also and regularly check as per the routine what is the condition and make a condition report. Also, what will be the lighting inside the gallery? What will be the humidity inside the gallery? What will be the temperature? Which objects we can keep outside in the outdoor display, like casted iron, bronze, stone sculpture we can keep outside, but not plaster of Paris sculpture or wooden sculpture. It will be in the indoor display. So after restoration, the point come display. How you are presenting, how you're offering to your audience, what is like the teamwork of carpenter, then electrician, then housekeeping staff, how they are making the museum clean. So it's more like a teamwork. It's not like only the curators or the directors or advisors or designers are running the museum. It's also the ground staff. We need to have a good team to properly display the objects and offer a good kind of like a good ambience for the students and the museum comers. So display point is very important, and in which height you are keeping the painting or sculpture, what is the pedestal design, what is the map of the museum. When any viewer is coming, does the security or the gallery attendant guide them, okay aap idhar se start kijiye, so you can have a kind of timeline and all. So everything comes under the display. Obviously the security system also, like you kind of keep the works which are 100 years back, 200 years back, how you are mapping that. And after doing this four job, like you collected, you documented, you restored, you displayed properly, why you are displaying, why the particular museums are important, why museum visit should be there in every curriculum. You can be an artist, you can be a designer, you can be a doctor, lawyer, engineer, any profession, education. It's very important. So once you come to the museum, I believe museum is more like a living library. So once you see a painting, and we will also try to do that in the presentation, how we can go back to the time, how we can kind of think about the socio-economic condition, how we can have a kind of clue of gender studies through a museum object. In our gallery, it's much more painting, sculpture, photography, installation, this kind of object we have. But when you go to a philatelic museum, when you go to a science museum, when you go to a history museum like National Museum or Crafts Museum, the education which happens, it's much more experiential. It's much more like through the visual you are learning. I will now quickly shift our attention. I am trying to show you few images of the campus. Please kind of tell me my screen is visible for you. Can you just give me a clue?
Yes.
Okay, so this is a architecture model of the gallery, and we have almost like 4 acre space in the campus, but this is the architecture model. And if you just see in the front, we have this butterfly shaped building जिनको जयपुर हाउस बोला जाता है आज भी. ये जयपुर के राजा और रानी के रहने की जगह था. And this particular museum, National Gallery of Modern Art, it is situated in the India Gate Circle next to High Court. This particular museum started with this building. जयपुर हाउस से स्टार्ट हुआ था. जो पीछे ब्लॉक दिख रहा है आपको, 3 ब्लॉक दिख रहा है, दिस इज अ पार्ट ऑफ द न्यू विंग एक्सटेंशन. 2009 ये जो पीछे का 3 ब्लॉक है, it was inaugurated and we have much more exhibition space, we have storage space, we have a library, we have auditorium, we have the office space in the back side, these 3 blocks. Also, time to time we do special exhibition in Jaipur House today because this building has been restored. So let's go to the next slide. So when you are crossing India Gate Circle next to High Court, you can see this view of the museum. Double-storied building, Jaipur House. Jaipur के राजा और रानी रहते थे. 1936 it was built, and it started as a museum in 1954 with the initiative of Sarvapalli Radhakrishnan. At that point of time, he was the vice president. Humayun Kabir, who was looking after the education department at that point of time in the ministry, and also Jawaharlal Nehru. With their initiative, this particular museum started, but still now it carries the purpose. Like it exhibits, it's restored. We have educational programs, we have outreach programs throughout this pandemic. With SPIC MACAY, with different institutions, we are doing this particular online tour to bring the awareness. And also you can see in the campus, we have more like 40 to 45% as architecture space, even with the new wing which came. But other area is much more like green. You can see in the campus, we also keep sculptures. You can see the horticulture team, they regularly work and they keep the museum space so attractive. I have often observed kuch log, like some viewers, after seeing the inside space of the gallery, they sit in the outdoor space, they sketch, they sometimes kind of interact with friends or teachers. So it's amazing to see this particular kind of participation in the campus. So these are the people in behind, the horticulture team. They make our museum so green. And also, as I said, some of the sculptures we also keep outside. हम लोग कुछ ऐसे sculpture है जैसे casted iron का. ये बालान नामदेर बोल के एक artist है, sculptor है. He is recently residing in Bangalore, and some of his sculptures we have in our collection. And stone sculpture, stainless steel sculpture, you can see by different sculptors we keep in the outdoor campus space. So people enjoy the campus also. इस पर्टिकुलर स्कल्पचर के पीछे जो बिल्डिंग के पार्ट दिख रहा है, दिस इज अ पार्ट ऑफ द न्यू विंग, वेयर in the right side in this block we have 3 blocks. This particular block is the administrative block, where we have the library in the second floor. It's a free library. A lot of times students come for their research and reference. They sit and read. We also have auditorium. Time to time we do film screening. We have artist talk, curators talk, and different kind of workshop program. In the left side we have an exhibition and also the exhibition block, and also we have the new wing block. But yes, design is different of the new wing, but to kind of create a harmony, visual harmony, the architects, they followed with the stone color of Jaipur house. So it's amazing. You can feel it's more like a part of that history. Let's move to the next slide. So this is a slide where you can have an idea of how the new wing inside, the new wing exhibition block inside, how it looked like. So there are 4 floors. The basement floor, we keep doing special exhibitions. Time to time we have thematic exhibition or retrospective, but the other 3 floor we will later on kind of slowly move inside and tell story. It starts with 1850 1860 display, and it continues till now. Who are the important artists? So we just chronologically or according to the timeline we have displayed every artist. So now, without waiting, I will just quickly move to the presentation part. As we all know, the kind of like display which is happening right now, it's digital display. So we in the museum, we really thank the IT department and also the senior curators who make the museum available like this. So we have kind of like amazing, important artist. But before starting with the Jamini Roy and other artists, I want to show you a short video. We had an amazing exhibition of Upendra Maharathi, an artist who was born in Orissa, then studied in Calcutta and lived and practiced in Bihar. In Bihar, there is an institute on his name as a design institute also. Let's see, when his exhibition happened in 2019, what was the program, what were the programs and who were coming and how the exhibition looked like. It happened in Jaipur House, the old part or the old architecture in this campus.
क्योंकि बेसिक चीज आर्ट होता है, क्योंकि मेन काम होता है इसको खोलना है। एक बार आप दिमाग को खोल दिए ना, फिर और कुछ करना है, वो अपने आप चलता है। तो जो आर्ट इंस्टीट्यूशन होता है, हम लोग कोशिश करते हैं उनको ओपन करने की।
इसीलिए आपको सिलेक्ट किए, but how you can grow as a more important human being. Today 1981 an artist passed away. आज हम उनको लेके चर्चा क्यों करें? अगर वो एक्सीलेंट थे, बट बहुत अच्छा ह्यूमन बीइंग भी थे। उनका काफी सारे स्टोरी, उनकी बेटी महिषिता भारती, she came here and she really shared with us, and I am telling to you. Is it clear? Because I didn't see this artist.
इंटरेक्शन वो बहुत जरूरी है, ये बहुत कम हो रहे हैं आजकल। जब एक स्पेस में इंटरेक्ट होगा तो बहुत कुछ चीज खुलेगा, बहुत कुछ। अब ओडिशा में क्या हो रहा है वो बताएगा, और चंडीगढ़ में क्या हो रहा है वो बताएगा। जो ये सारी चीज मर्ज होगा ना, हम और मजबूत होंगे और देश के लिए ये बहुत बड़ा अच्छा कर रहे हैं।
I hope the participants, they really have an idea how this Jaipur House, the building where National Gallery of Modern Art started with, how it looked like, और जिस समय एग्जीबिशन होता है वो कैसे हम लोग उस स्पेस को डिजाइन करते हैं, and different activities also happen. We do regular curated works physically. ये 2019 का एग्जीबिशन है, मुझे याद है स्पीक मैके के प्रयास से काफी students and काफी enthusiasts, different age group used to come, and also different schools and colleges with their institute, with their interest, they used to visit physically. After 16 June, this particular museum space, only the new wing we have open. Yes, weekend we are receiving 360, sometime 420 people, and weekdays we are struggling with 150, 160. But hope this fear will be over, and slowly people will get back. But yes, let's start with Jamini Roy. Now this eve of Navaratri, so I think like 3 pujaris is much apt to kind of connect with our customs or rituals which we are doing. हम लोग पूजा देने जाते हैं. Jamini Roy was born in the year 1887 and he lived till 1972. So pre-independence time, and also post-independence time, one of the noted important artists who was quite popular when he was practicing already at that point of time. He was quietly influenced and inspired by the Pattachitra tradition and also the terracotta figurines which we make, the terracotta toys in the villages, and वो मेले में बिकता है. So he later on, kind of in his life, in the mature stage, he got the kind of inspiration. He tried to revive these kind of line structure in his work. But let's start with 3 pujarins. Quickly, the points which I have shared with you. Collection. So NGMA collected this painting. We have a team of researchers, advisors. Then we documented. You can see ACC number 63. tempera on paperboard, a basic information about the artist, when he was born, what is the artwork title, or a little bit story has been shared by the documentation team work. Third is restoration. So this painting was practiced before 1972. So you are keeping this painting intact. Even ये टेम्परा मीडियम में है, वाटर बेस्ड मीडियम में है, तो उसको प्रॉपरली चेक करके ठीक ठाक रखना, टेम्परेचर कंट्रोल करना, लाइट कंट्रोल करना. The fourth point was display. Today we are having digital display, but once we come to the museum, you can have the physical display. It's amazing to see the original works. It's a different experience. And last is education. Now see, the artist was so smart. He could have painted three women, three pujaris holding three puja ke thali or the offering plate. But no, he asked us to participate in. उन्होंने एक फिगर को हाथ में पूजा के थाली लेते हुए दिखाए, बाकी दोनों को जस्ट रेफरेंस के जैसे बैकग्राउंड में यूज किया. यू पार्टिसिपेट एंड यू थिंक दे आर आल्सो कमिंग हियर टू ऑफर द पूजा. तो you can just see even the eyes are much more elongated and exaggerated. You can connect with the Patachitra painting, even if you just see the selection of color and double border. उन्होंने एक ब्लैक कलर का बॉर्डर यूज किया और फिर एक ब्राउन कलर का बॉर्डर यूज किया. देन यू कैन सी येलो ऑकर. सो एक्चुअली इट्स अ वेरी फ्लैट अप्रोच ऑफ पेंटिंग व्हेन ही इज यूजिंग पेंट लेयर विद टेम्परा मीडियम. इट्स वेरी फ्लैट, बट उन्होंने ये जो डबल बॉर्डर, इफ यू जस्ट सी द फेस, there's no single black line, there is a brown line. It's more like acts like a third tone or a middle tone, you can say. So you can see the lighter tone, the flat painting, then you can see the kind of brown kind of border, then the black tone. So it creates a kind of illusion to our eyes. These artists, like when I observe the groups are coming, the people are coming and talking for different age group, he is more like a very popular artist. अब मैं बोल रहा था कुछ समय उन्होंने वो जो टेराकोटा का हॉर्स फिगर बनाते हैं, कोलकाता से थोड़ा सा दूर एक डिस्ट्रिक्ट है बाकुरा. ही वाज बोर्न देयर and he came to Kolkata to study. He was amazing with oil painting. He was very good with realistic painting. And later on, when he is becoming mature, because there was a time where people trying to connect with the root, they were trying to find अच्छा मेरा language क्या होगा, मेरा पहचान क्या होगा. This is pre-independent India. If you just see the figures, it's much more like toy-like, and it's more like a fantasy. Yeah, it's written Rupa Katha, means fantasy. You are imagining, but you can see the horse, this cat, or there's a temple kind of form. And also, if you see how he framed his own work with the layers of color and brush strokes, it looks more like weaving. So sometimes you can see for artists how they're connecting with their local resources. They are kind of taking the inspiration from everywhere. Like, let's move to the next slide. Yes, participants, can you tell me who is this blue boy? देखो टाइटल देने में कितना मजेदार टाइटल दिया है. Like, we can connect with the geometrical shape of figurative representation. थोड़ा सा ये जो फिगर को रिप्रेजेंट किया है, we can have a round, we can have triangle in the house, we can have a space which is kind of painted with yellow. We can think about, okay, background far away, the frontal figure, the perspective sense एक तैयार हो जाता है. Though it's a very flat painting, the approach of color is very flat, but if you see, it's very dynamic. Even with the title Blue Boy, with what you connect with. Can you tell me what you feel when you see Blue Boy? I too feel Krishna, because बचपन से हम सुन के बड़े हुए हैं. So you can see sometimes you can play with the audience or the viewer's mind. It's more like poetic. You are allowing the artwork to become much more lively through this interaction. So Jamini Roy, you can see much more simplified form or shape लेके बहुत सारे समय खेल रहा है. कलर, उनका कलर का इस्तेमाल अगर देखा जाए, how he is using the contrast of color. But sometimes you can see in museum they also collect the sketches and the process work. So Ravana, we can see Dashera is now like we can connect with Dashera, and the idea of 10 heads, Ravan, how you can connect with different ideas. You can practice, then you finalize. You can see every time the accession number is changing and there is written information, pen and ink drawing. Here it is not written tempera. So these all informations are very useful. Again, Ravana, a sketch by Jamini Roy, and very spontaneous, very free line. You can see how you are thinking about the composition. The background is very flat. Focus is all with the Ravan. Uh, Flight, a fantastic figure, happy face, but very imaginative. हमारे जो figure है realism, जब हम लोग realism और realistic painting बनाते हैं, उससे थोड़ा सा हटके है. It's much more fantastic world or a world which you imagine. You can see sketches even within a paper. You can see how he is planning, what are the dimension of the figure, a profile face hai, side face hai. Also you can see the dancing postures, and also you can connect with our relief sculptures of temple relief sculpture. I am specifically quoting. If we think about Konark, if you think about Vishnupur in Bengal, if we think about even Khajuraho, Ellora, the tradition of sculpture and also the postures which we see in relief sculpture, you can see sometimes you can connect as a kind of reference. Shiva Parvati, you can see the entire story is there. So there are a lot of works. Just write ngmaindia.gov.in. You can reach to our website, and these are all particularly hyperlinks from the website which I have opened and sharing. So it's very, very useful for the upcoming artists, thinkers, designers, museum lovers, also for the people. Now we are seeing Nicholas Roerich. He's an artist who was not from Bengal, obviously. Jamini Roy was from Bengal. Even I was reading about him. He never traveled outside apart from Bengal, from that state. But now we are seeing an artist who was a traveler, a painter, a researcher named Nicholas Roerich. He was from Russia. Even he lived in USA for some time and also came to India. And he was in love with Himalayas. He was born in 1874 and lived till 1947. तो देखते हैं. Mostly he practiced Himalayan landscape. If you visit Nagar, Himachal Pradesh, you can also see some of his collection in National Gallery of Modern Art. We are planning 2 new exhibitions. One, like it will be open soon. One with 10 important artists such as Ravi Varma, Amrita Sher-Gil, Nicholas Roerich, Ramkinkar Baij, Vinod Bihari Mukherjee, Jamini Roy. So we have kind of like already planned to display all this artist work in the Jaipur house. So more than 450 artworks will be displayed in Jaipur house of these masters and treasures. And Nandalal Bose, we are planning to bring with more than 140 works. It is an amazing exhibition which is coming. So please kind of like follow our Facebook page and Instagram page to kind of have much more update. So let's see how Nicholas Roerich is using tempera medium, water-based medium to capture your kind of like this, what you can say, like the kind of serenity or peacefulness. You can feel it once you see his work. I sometimes feel there is no need of word when you see a theater or when you come to a museum. Obviously, a curated walk or a resource person speaking, giving you an idea about the collection. Sometimes it is important, but most of the time I have also encountered people वो जो लोग आके ना अपने आप चुपचाप पेंटिंग के सामने खड़ा रहते हैं. And I feel like they meditate. Like sometimes I have seen people stand in front of a painting for half an hour, 10 minutes. They sketch. They sometimes try to kind of like enjoy that painting with that silence. So Nicholas Roerich was a person who's allowing you to feel that Shanta Rasa. Like when we listen to classical musician and see the classical dancers presentation, we always often talk about the emotions and the rasa. So what I feel here in his work is much more Shantaras and also in some way Adbhut Ras. We have Hasya, Karuna, Rodra, Veera, but you can see when you see Nicholas Roerich's practice, it is much more Shantaras, which allows you to kind of feel you are nothing in front of nature. Yeah. So even I also encourage people to think like how we can bring museum as a space where we can have art integrated learning. Such an example. Nicholas Roerich is an artist from Russia. So if I'm a geography teacher or social science teacher, I can bring a map or I can carry a globe in the class. I can show the painter's work first and then keep them kind of like interested to see where is Russia in the world. India के northern part में है क्या west में है क्या east में है, where is the position of Russia in the world. So you can see once you show a painter a painting, then the students will be interested to know about the person, where he belongs. So through that you can educate, through that you can make people conscious. Even if you are taking a science class for the young students, maybe junior school, you can ask, अच्छा इस painting को देख के from where the light is coming? The students will reply, okay, it's coming from the right side. Then the teacher can say, he or she can say, why the light will change the side. Then you can draw a diagram. Earth is moving around sun, and you can show them why this sunlight they change the direction, right? So you can see through showing a printed image or a projected image or a artist work, I can make them aware about day, night, why night happen, what is the warm color, what is cool color, what even you can see while seeing this particular painting, you will feel very peaceful, and also sometimes you can see it's cooling down because of the color, how efficiently this artist is using it. I feel I just open my window and I'm seeing the Himalayas or the kind of like the mountains, right? So it's hand painted, and it's not like important you are doing the work one time and you are getting the success. Maybe artists fails, actors fails, like they paint for 12, 30 times, 20 times, and then you can see the museum or some collection is happening. Maybe that entire artist life, 30 or 40 years or 50 years they practice, or the museum only have maybe 5 or 6 works, or other collections are with private galleries or other collectors they are collecting. So it's very important to also think about हम लोग कैसे कलेक्शन को देख सकते हैं, किस पर्सपेक्टिव से कलेक्ट किया जाता है. If you see dwelling houses, you can see there is no such figure in this painting, but you can see some of the houses are there far away. You can have a sense of perspective. You can feel peaceful, and also the depth. It's coming with the color layer. Now you can see you are right now on the top of the mountain. Your viewpoint also changed. So we have seen Jamini Roy. We also tried to kind of show you few of the works of Nicholas Roerich. He lived and practiced in 1947. Let's move to the next artist whom I can't avoid. And I think Indian art, when you talk about modern Indian art, because this museum, they collect from 1840, 1850 onwards. So we start with miniature paintings, basically, which were mostly practiced with tempera medium and oil technique, came with a European traveler artist who came to India. And like we were speaking in Sanskrit, Hindi, Urdu, Tamil, Bengali, Ahamiya, we started to speak in English more later on. So Ravi Varma is a key artist. He was from Kerala, but he was invited by the king and queen of Baroda, and also Thiruvananthapuram Raja Rani ke liye, Mysore ke king queen ke liye, he made portraits. But he was the first person, as per the record which happened, he's the first person who started to paint with oil technique in India. Interestingly, not only in India, Japan, this whole Southeast Asia, Sri Lanka, Middle East, we never used this medium. During this particular colonial period, we got an exposure. And within 70 years or 100 years, you can see there are amazing artists, not only Ravi Varma, M.F. Pitawala, Pestanji Bomanji, Hemendranath Majumdar, Amrita Sher-Gil. Today, so many artists, they use oil painting. But yes, he was the first person who introduced that. Now, let's go away from this technical part. Can I ask you a question? If you see this portrait of lady, accession number 1670, oil color painting, what do you feel? This particular lady is from Assam or Bengal or Maharashtra? Now, if you just see this image for kind of like with your attention, also see the chair where she is sitting. Is it a plastic chair? Or is it a metal chair or a wooden chair covered with velvet? You start to talk about the time. Any person, when we used to have this curated work physically and also virtually, when I ask this question, they start to kind of frame their mind according to the time. They say, no, no, I think she is not from Assam, she is from Maharashtra. While seeing the jewelry design, while seeing the clothing, you start to kind of analyze. In India, we have like Northern India, Southern India, Northeast, East, West, everywhere we see our family members, friends, they wear sari. But today, if you see, the weight of the sari is much more lighter. Occasions we are using heavyweight saris and jewelry, but aksar jo when we see ladies in working area, students, professors, colleagues, they are using much more less jewelry, lighter jewelry. In occasions we are using heavy jewelry and more jewelry. So this idea of working woman, if you just think about gender equality, how many women colleges were there? If you think about 1870, 1880. So I'm not teaching anything, but these visual references are very important when you are kind of growing up, when you are opening in your mind. And already in the YouTube video, we listen to Advait Gadnaiji, he is the director generally, always encourage, why not we are interacting, why not we are kind of like questioning, because then the museum become much more alive space. अब देखिए पीछे जो ये पिलर है, ये पिलर को देख के नहीं लगता है ये थोड़ा सा लेट मिडीवल आर्किटेक्चर है और नहीं तो पैलेस के आर्किटेक्चर है, तो इनका इकोनॉमिकल बैकग्राउंड क्या होगा. So all these particular perspective can come while you are appreciating one painting. Let's move to the next work, Lady in Moonlight. I also see a lot of time the theater designers, set designers, fashion designers, they come art director and they observe painting with time. You can see because the last painting was indoor painting, this is outdoor, and you will not say sunlight, moonlight. And how amazingly this artist represented even the shadow. Yeah. So see the expression, see the kind of clothing, and how the artist represented nature with the figurative work. And he was also a friend of Dadasaheb Phalke. And today, when you see the big names who are making films, they always need a team of artists and art director to visualize the scene. Even animators, even storytellers, for us, paintings are very, very important because it can kind of give a visual reference to you. Let's move to the next image. Untitled it is, but just see, when I see this work, it is written oleograph, oil-based printing process. He was a person who started with oil painting, but oil painting only few elite family can access. Some palaces, we can see oil painting at that point of time because it was not produced here. We were practicing with watercolor and water-based medium, even fresco, like Ajanta painting, like for 1,000 years we have water-based practice. But suddenly we saw oil medium and we have few artists who are practicing with oil technique, but now he felt this problem, only few people can access his idea. So he started print making. एक ब्लॉक के ऊपर ड्राइंग बना के उन्होंने प्रिंट लेना स्टार्ट किया, and you can see from one particular block you can have multiple prints, but there will be a sign of Ravi Varma. So there is a code number. So you can see in this painting, if you see the textile, the sari, the cushion, the curtain, and also if you just see the hand fan, you can think about the time. There was no air conditioning machine, maybe. There's no electricity. There's no ceiling fan. So once I am interested in this painting, it's not only the figure, also the objects start to tell story. See that hand fan is giving you an idea of the time. Let's move to the next image. So this is one print signed by Ravi Varma which was collected, and he was the first calendar artist also, reaching to each house with the idea of Saraswati, Jatayu bird. So this kind of beliefs he painted in a realistic manner. Just see the expression, see the textile. So he was the first person who was bringing this realism in the canvas through his medium like oil on canvas or oleograph. He was a very superb, skillful artist, you can say. Just see the design of the architecture of the column or the pillar. See the textile. Hansa Damayanti story. Obviously, he kept it untitled and we cannot title it because there is a museum documentation process. बट अक्सर हम लोग कनेक्ट कर लेते हैं इमेज के जरिए से. Even the flora and fauna give you a kind of like scenographic background. Let's move to the next area. Untitled it is, but can I ask you a question? What do you feel? Is it Ramayana representation or Mahabharat representation? Represented by Ravi Varma. What I feel, ये देख के मुझे महाभारत ही लग रहा है. Because if you just see this blue skin and if you see उनके headgear में there is more punk and here Dhritarashtra, the blind king, because we know this narration and once this particular visual comes, you can see it's much more like a थिएट्रिकल रिप्रेजेंटेशन. आप देखो कॉलम है, आर्किटेक्चर स्पेस है, एक सभा बैठे हुए हैं. सो महाभारत में भी युद्ध के टाइम है, कुछ मीटिंग चल रहा है, कृष्ण इज रेजिस्टिंग वी अर्जुन. सो though it is untitled but human mind with visual reference, even it is an abstract painting, ये तो figurative काम है. When we see visitors come and see Vasudev Gaitonde, Syed Haider Raza, the artists whom we have, like who are painting non-figurative painting, so they start to kind of connect with the kind of thinking process of the artist. So we have seen few artists. Now let's move to an amazing artist whom we can't kind of avoid, Amrita Sher-Gil. 1913 she was born. She lived a very young life. 1941 she passed away. So let's see, 1930, what she was kind of like practicing when she was in Europe. Her father was Indian, her mother was Hungarian. She got a chance to study from École de Beaux-Arts from Paris. Very few women were practicing art. Very few women were going to school and colleges. Because if you just see, not only in India, all over the world, how many women artists we have, how many women lawyers we have, how many women thinkers or voices we can listen. Things and the ideas are slowly changing. I will not say everywhere it has been changed, but slowly we are realizing the change. So you can see self-portrait number 3, accession number 1. Just imagine 1954 with a sculpture exhibition, this museum started. And slowly we started to collect works of important artists like Amrita Sher-Gil, Nandalal Bose, Rabindranath Tagore, Rabindranath Tagore, Abanindranath. And today we have more than 17,000 works, including the important artists like Anjali Ella Menon, Ghulam Mohammad Sheikh, Dhanraj Bhagat, Upendra Maharati, Dakshina Murthy, KCS Panikar, Janaki Raman. So every important artist, even Atul Dodia. So these are the contemporary artists, Nalini Malani, in our collection. So it started in 1954, but the journey is on. You can see she paints herself. Even in this lockdown situation, a lot of artists, a lot of practicing designers, they started to see themselves in mirror or take a selfie and started to sketch because we were not coming out of the houses or our area. So you can see an artist we can take as an inspiration when we are doing our self-portraits sometime. It's a very good practice, even with the idea of Adam and Eve, how you are bringing that divine light, more like a heavenly light, and making that image much more theatrical. Amrita, she was at that point of time in Paris. She was traveling in Hungary and different area. This is self-portrait. You can see accession number changed. This is in a different mood, in a different style. So continuously she was practicing herself. Sometimes she asked her friend to sit for her and become a model, Yusuf. And also you can see warm color, cool color. You can think about the season. You can think about where this particular painting happened, even through the color, because color is more like a code language. Sometimes we do still life paintings, स्तब्ध जीवन, कोई एक object को रख के हम लोग painting बनाते हैं. So you can see potted plant in blossom. All the artists, most of the time, they start with this ABCD. Let's go to the 1937 India, what she have kind of achieved. And when she came to India, she was traveling a lot. She gone to different villages with her sketchbook. She was continuously practicing with oil technique. So always it was not possible for her to finish the painting on the spot. So we क्या कर रहे थे? Regular sketches को करते हुए, when she is coming back to the studio, she painted village घर. Sometimes you can see the essence is there. Yellow of हाथ में जो bangles है, hairstyle, color palette. Bride's Toilets, Badhu Kistringer, one of the important painting in her life. And you can see the faces are not at all happy. India was not independent. What was the age of marriage? 9 साल में 13 साल में शादी होता था. We know this social reformer Raja Ram Mohan Roy trying to pass a bill. Women should go to school. The young widows can have a chance to remarry. So if you just think about it, what was going through pre-independent India? She was a person who was also kind of experiencing and bringing these themes in her exhibition. So there will be obviously an appreciation of culture through dress, through the hairstyle, through this particular, you can see the kind of like earthen pot, but also start to think about pre-independent India, how many women artists can raise their voice. We have very few, Shunayani Devi, Shukumari Devi, Amrita Sher-Gil, later on Meera Mukherjee, Pilu Fuchkanwala. These are the artists who really made the pathway. Today we have a lot of women artists. And artists are artists, why we will say women artists? But initially we have to kind of think in that way. Brahmacharis, you can see the Janeu and also the Tilak kind of codify the language. And also the contrast of color, background, foreground, how they are kind of meeting, interacting, having a conversation, and that particular young guy is not that much interested in the discussion. वो थोड़ा सा उस तरफ देख रहा है. So this is quite interesting. Kind of like when you have almost every figure is seeing you or frontal, there's a small figure like he is not that much interested in the discussion. So this kind of one, like kind of observation is also very interesting when you see museum object. Charkha aa gaya, pre-independent India. Siesta means rest, you can see, is a threshold of a house. And you can see from the realism, from the approach of realistic painting, self-portrait, now I think there are references of miniature painting, multiple entry points. Because she was observing, she was traveling and seeing the murals and paintings of India, and I think it had an effect in her representation process. Let's see, two mendicants, sannyasi, उनके अगर ड्रेस देखा जाए, उनके अगर बैग देखा जाए, how we can connect with that. Let's move to the 1941 India. It's amazing how the team and the documentation team and IT team kind of, and also the senior curators helped us to kind of also see different section of our practice, and it inspires us also to keep our works and photographs properly, so we can tell also a story of ours when we think. This is village girls again. You can see the use of color. They are spontaneously kind of interacting or playing with some dhaga or something. Let's see. This was the last and unfinished painting done by her. Amrita Sher-Gil, one of the important women artists, just lived for 28 years, but you can see what amazing body of work. I have just shown few. You can, with time, you can see more folders are there for you. Let's move to the next artist, Ramkinkar Baij. I will kind of like want to show some of the sculptures, because not only Ramkinkar Baij, we have the collection of D.P. Roy Chaudhary, Devi Prasad Roy Chaudhary, Dhanraj Bhagat. We have important sculptors like Dakshina Murthy. We have Balbir Singh Cut in our collection, Latika Cut. We have many other sculptors, but today we are only seeing Ramkinkar Baij's work. Obviously, sculpture is three-dimensional, and you can see the title is Perambulator. A baby cot which is movable, a mother and child figure is there. Jhula or baby cot तो painting में, miniature painting में बहुत सारे जगह में है. But perambulator, when we see, it kind of refers us a time when already industrial revolution happened. So you can see artist is much more like they're reflecting their time. 1906 he was born and he lived in 1980. So you can see how this artist is expressing the ideas, kind of face or the kind of figure and everything. If you see, it's quite abstract also. Let's move to this is a bronze sculpture. Let's move to the next. This is also a bronze sculpture. Winnower, harvester. How this particular winnowing or harvesting used to happen earlier. जब manually वो धान झाड़ा जाता था, and you have to kind of give your whole kind of physical energy. Today we have much more machines and all, but it's also quite interesting to kind of freeze that moment. जब वो like the process में है filtration का, food grain को plant से अलग कर रहे हैं. Let's move to the next area. Mithun, amalgamation, very kind of like suggestive. You can have two figures. Famine, Akal, because if you remember, Ramkinkar is from Bengal, West Bengal, and he is not from Kolkata like properly. He was practicing in Bolpur, 2-3 hours distance from the city. This comes under Birbhum district. So now, interestingly, Ravindranath, who was born in Kolkata, his house there is a university named Ravindra Bharati University. अक्सर लोग थोड़ा सा कंफ्यूज हो जाते हैं. He later on established another university which is away from the city, which is in the village. And still now these two universities are on. One is Ravindra Bharati University, which is in the city, and Vishwa Bharati University is in Bolpur, Shantiniketan. So he was studying there. Later on, he became the teacher and faculty member. Ramkinkar Baij, he was practicing there. But 1940, we remember there was a famine. Akal hua tha. So the skeleton is coming out. So you can see artists are emotional. Like sometimes something is happening in around, it comes as a reference in your painting, sculpture, dance recital, or in music. Sometimes it has an effect. He was not only doing sculptures, he was doing a lot of drawings. And आपको पता है दिल्ली में जो रिजर्व बैंक ऑफ इंडिया के बिल्डिंग है, उनके जो फ्रंट गेट है उसके सामने ह्यूज यक्षा और यक्षी के स्कल्पचर है, वो भी रामकिंकर बेज ने बनाया. सो यू कैन सी द पर्सन हु वाज traveling in Shillong, practicing with students. He was a sculptor, and he was a student of Nandalal Bose, by the way. We will try to see Nandalal Bose works also later. So it's quite interesting. As a sculptor, he was practicing. He was noted. He was doing a commission work for Reserve Bank of India, huge sculpture, stone sculpture. But also you can see how he was telling the story of the village, of the surrounding area where he live and practice. It's Bolpur, Shantiniketan, Khwai, the kind of like environment which you have, खजूर का पेड़, तो 2-3 पक्षी उड़ के चले जा रहे हैं, एक नदी के थोड़ा सा किनारा है. So you can see it's very kind of, it's more regular practice. It's not like मुझे exhibition करना है उसीलिए मैं painting बना रहा हूँ, इस तरीके का नहीं है. It's more like the habit of telling story through your visual medium. So we have seen few artists starting from Jamini Roy, then we gone to Nicholas Story, then we have seen Ravi Varma, a couple of images. We have seen Amrita Sher-Gil. We just now saw some of the works, sculptures and drawings by Ramkinkar Baij. I hope you are not bored, but now, last but not least, I want to take you inside of the new wing. जो हम लोग एक स्टील पिक्चर से देखे थे, the 4 floors of the new wing. Let's have a quick kind of round. And yes, this is the only space which is open right now after the pandemic. We are planning to open new 2 exhibitions soon. Just follow us with a Facebook page, National Gallery of Modern Art, New Delhi, and also Insta handle is ngma_Delhi. You can see this is a sculpture by Meera Mukherjee, is a bronze sculpture. The title of the sculpture is Spirit of Daily Work. And also you can see we have this sitting area also for elderly people. Even मुझे याद है जब SPIC MACAY के initiative में और even different colleges or schools के students खुद के initiative में आते थे, तो because it's a large gallery, sometime after seeing the work, sometime we used to sit here on the floor in a half circle and used to tell story. फिर हम लोग start करते थे. Even we are hoping this particular time will be over soon. And also you can kind of zoom in, see the display, what are the lighting, what is the pedestal color, in which height we kind of showcase the works. These are works of Viresh Shen, much more matchbox size work. You can see, you can use this button to kind of zoom in. And you can see each painting, you can have information inside. The captions really help. Some of the works of different artists, how they are expressing. So we are right now in 3rd floor. This is a sculpture by Pradesh Dashgupta. Let's go in the front and see how the sculpture look like. Yeah, so it's written in bondage. He is more like captivated, and how he's sitting in the kneel down position. Sometimes you can see from different angle also you can enjoy. And let's see some an important artist who had struggled with the eyesight a lot. Binod Bihari Mukherjee. And I will request all of you, please see if you have time. This is a Ramkinkar Baij painting, and here we have Vinod Bihari Mukherjee his work on display. This is a wall, and विनोद बिहारी मुखर्जी के ऊपर एक बहुत अच्छे फिल्म बनाए हैं. One of our noted filmmaker named Satyajit Ray. Satyajit Ray made a film named Inner Eye. अगर possible होता please see. It is a films division of India production, because this artist, even he was struggling with his eyesight, he was almost blind, but he was doing huge murals, he was interacting with students, and with touch, with senses, how he carried forward. Even रामकिंकर बेज के ऊपर और एक फिल्म मेकर, इवन इंडियन आर्ट के ऊपर काफी सारे फिल्म मेकर काम किए, फिल्म डिवीजन की काफी सारे और मूवी है, बट रामकिंकर बेज के ऊपर ऋतिक घटक बोल के फिल्म मेकर है जो you remember Winnower we just saw by Ramkinkar Baij. You can see how this particular display can help you. You can see some of the paintings and sculpture by Ramkinkar Baij. इनके ऊपर जो फिल्म बनाई ऋतिक घटक ने through an eye of an artist. You can see how we have displayed the work. So you can see this particular area is much more third floor, and now we can go to the basement. We keep doing special exhibition here. This was an exhibition of company paintings. You can move on, you can see even I am ill, or there is no resource person or senior curator or an assistant curator to explain or tell the story. So or like the people can come and read the wall text, read the caption, and they can have a basic information. We also have an amazing reference library, as I mentioned. So sometimes I see people come to the gallery, they kind of walk to the library later on in the administrative block to have much more information. You can see how the housekeeping team and the ground staff, they help us to keep the museum clean and clear, so you can have a better experience. You can go to the next floor. So the last floor, the basement, was a spatial exhibition space. In this floor, what we do, we start the storytelling with timeline kind of orientation. Let's see. We showcase. So here, from here, it's more like timeline oriented display. So we have the European artists like Thomas Daniel, Telekettle, Marshall Claxton here. But before that, we show what we were practicing. Like I said, we have Sanskrit, we have Hindi, we have Urdu, Tamil, and still we practice with our local languages, and it's very important. So these were the storytelling approach. When we see the paintings of 12th century, 13th century, 14th century, we mostly use water-based medium and a small scale work. It's more like a private album, and we used to paint with these kind of things of Raja Rani ke story, or else the religious belief. From there, you can see this particular area where you can see the artists like Telekettle painted Kolkata. Let's zoom in. So these are artists who were coming from Europe, mostly Portugal, then Netherlands, then England, and they started to kind of document their administrators who were living here, and also some of the important sites which their administrators asked to record, because photography was introduced in 1840. So you can see they were coming, their documentation style is entirely different. The medium is also different. They are practicing with oil painting. We were painting with tempera. So this is a time where you can see the blend will start. There's a fire exit also. It's very important because it's a public institution. To avoid the any kind of circumstances, you need the kind of security team. We also have the ramp for the specially able people or our friends who are not willing to kind of use a lift or stairs. And sometimes also बहुत भारी artwork होता है, तो उसको shift कराने के लिए we don't use a lift, we use this ramp. I think you remember we have seen this exhibit in the presentation of Ravi Varma's work and section. And also you can see how we have displayed Ravi Varma's work in the gallery. So timeline wise, each important artist, even the Renaissance time, if you just see, we will not forget the name of Mukul De and Abanindranath Thakur. Let's see, we have the artists who are practicing in Kolkata and trying to revive the tradition of miniature painting, trying to kind of reinterpret, okay, what will be our language when this is a time of Swadeshi movement. So they started to kind of avoid oil technique. We have very important artists like Ravi Varma, Pichawala, but now Abanindranath Thakur and other artists, they say, okay, now we will practice with the medium which we were practicing earlier with. So you can see this entire exhibition hall offers you to see the history of society, economic system, or gender equality. Everything can come slowly. One, if you kind of see the museum with time. Let's now. We also have here Upendra Maharathi, Hemendranath Majumdar's work. You can see on display. Let's move to the fourth floor. We have seen already the third. On the fourth floor, we have the artists like Francis Newton Souza, Makbul Fida Hussain, K.H. Ara, Vasudeo Gaitonde. You can see Hussein's Mother Teresa here. He didn't painted the face, but he just coded the language with a white sari and blue border. I was talking about non-figurative painting. Let's see. Vindu by Syed Haider Raza. You can see these are the artists who are playing with colors, who are playing with forms and encouraging people to see the world differently. We also have the artist Vasudeo Gaitonde, one of the important artists who, when we talk about abstraction, he's just the title of the painting is only painting. So you are the person who will start to interact with his ideas. Sometimes people come and say landscape. Sometimes people say, I just enjoy the color or the texture. So this is the part of the display we are seeing. Here is Amrita Sher-Gil's work on display at Notre Dame because she was in Europe for some time. This is the painting already we have seen in our presentation earlier. Bride's Toilet, and also you can see Brahmachari is on display. Let's see some of the contemporary. You can see here the artist Jogen Chaudhary's work on display, one of the senior artists. Then you have here A. Ramachandran's work. Also, A. Ramachandran is one of the important senior artists who is living and practicing in Delhi. But you can see his work. Let's move. So this is a part of the new wing where you have the artists who practiced till 2001, 2009, 2018. Bikash Bhattacharya, one of the important artists, again from West Bengal, bringing the realistic approach. This is Jagdish Swaminathan's work. All the important artists, maybe one, two, because we cannot display all the 17,000 works at a time. This is Ghulam Muhammad Sheikh's work on display. You can see, let's zoom in. On the display, we also have KG Subramaniam's work. So every artist who are from different area, Manjeet Bawa, Bimal Das Gupta, every important artist's work is on display. And time to time, Ramesh Gupta. Time to time, we also try to change and rotate and bring the new works for the visitors or the viewers. So they keep coming, like they feel kind of interested to see the kind of museum in a different way. Okay, so now I can kind of ask if there is any question. We have seen the museum a little bit with a virtual kind of tour.
Yeah, thank you so much for this beautiful tour. It was a great insight into the beautiful museum of NGM in New Delhi. Thank you so much. So now floor is open for the questions. If anyone has any question, they can put up. Okay. So one of the very important thing, Argo, is like how to do, since you have lots of artwork. So how do you manage to, preserve and conserve all these artworks? What is the method to do that?
Yeah, I already shared this idea. Like, I am not the technically equipped person to answer every question according to restoration point of view. But while working here in this institution, I am also learning from the seniors. So there is a restoration team. So it's a team work, and they are the employees of the museum. So first we collect, second we document. We have the information. And if there is any problem, or before having an exhibition, before designing the space, always I have seen the curators and the designers, they sit with the restorer to talk about, okay, how we can conserve the painting, what will be the temperature, and if there is a crack, sometimes it takes 6 months, sometimes it takes a year, because it's layer after layer and you are not the artist. So you have, and every painter, their brush strokes are different, their perceptions are different. Every sculptor, they handle the chisel and the, because it's a unique kind of expression, right? So every time the like, you know, like doctors, they deal with our body, and each body is different. They will react to that medicine in a very different way. So according to that, likewise, each painting is more like a new project for them. Yes, they have a acquired knowledge, they have a grammar to restore, but how maybe Ravi Varma used the brushstroke, Amrita Sher-Gil's brushstrokes will be entirely different. So if there is a crack, or there is a kind of like a flaking off happening, so you have to be very, very, these are your babies. You have to think about, these are your family members. Yeah, in that way you kind of approach. And I usually, when I take like a break time, I try to observe them how they are working, though it is not allowed. Sometimes they allow me to kind of see the whole process, because there are fumigation, you have to use a mask always, because they are using different kind of chemical products, to kind of keep the artwork. But yes, there are institutions like NRLC in Lucknow, DHRM. I think this institution name is changing, but in Kutub institutional area, where you can study museology and also restoration, Archaeological Survey of India, INTAC, Aga Khan Trust. There is National Museum Institute. Even different university, like my university, Ravindra Bharati University, we have museology department. I had friends from there. I studied fine arts, but yes, I used to kind of see when the lectures were happening. MSU Baroda, Maharaja Sayajji Rao University, Calcutta University, wherever there will be a museology or museum studies department, there should be restoration kind of team work also, or an appreciation. I will just request you to kind of like if I am sharing my screen, like let's see. I just off my camera, and I want to show you this museum website. Is it visible?
Yes, yes, it's visible.
Yeah. So this museum website has been developed by the senior curators and the department, and what I feel sometimes, even when I am sitting and having a break time, this is quite kind of interesting. You can have a little bit story. You can see what are the aims and objectives of this particular museum, how we are acquiring, how we are presenting. Also, we have a storage space limitation. So, बहुत सारे artworks, only more than 17,000 works we have. But just think about the population and think about the artists we have. So it also give you a, जैसे मैंने बोला था, Radha Krishnan ji, and then we have Humayun Kabir, we have the Nehru, all these particular, how this museum started, Dhanraj Bhagat, Sharbidar Chaudhary के एक sculpture के exhibition से start हुआ था. So you can read about the museum and the strategy. Virtual galleries are also there, which will happen. It's very interesting to see the collection through that. You can see different photography section is there. If you click here, you can see important photographers like पुराने जो photographers थे, लाला दीनदयाल से लेके रघु राय, दयानिता सिंह, प्रबुद्ध दासगुप्ता, कुलवंत रॉय, सुनीता पुरवाला, all these particular photographers' work we have. So it's quite interactive, and you can spend more time with different kind of section. And also we have an exhibition option. So you can go to this particular past exhibit and virtual exhibition option. So you can see virtual exhibition में जब click करता हूँ मैं, so 2020, 2019, 2018, 2017, and if I just click 2017, because I really like this exhibition, I want to share. We have seen Viresh Shen work in the 360-degree trip, but I definitely want to kind of give you this experience. He was an artist who was initially practicing under the guidance of Abanindranath Thakur in Kolkata. Then he became the teacher in Lucknow. And if you just see this particular work, Viresh Shen is trying to showcase nature, but his practice is more like matchbox size. वो ऐसे छोटा छोटा पेंटिंग बनाता था. एंड इफ यू जस्ट सी उनके काम अगर हम लोग देखें, अमेजिंग. यू कैन रिमेम्बर निकोलस रोरिक, बट निकोलस रोरिक के काम एकदम दूसरे डायमेंशन में था. हियर विरेशन यूज a tiny scale. It's very matchbox size, I am saying, but sometimes his works are figurative. You can see some temples, figures, structures, but yes, you can have also the warmness and coolness. You can see some activity of fishing is happening, serene. Some figure is on the beach, and also this exhibition look like this. This was also, this happened in Jaipur House. So we are using this आर्किटेक्चर ऑफ जयपुर हाउस फॉर स्पेशल एग्जीबिशन. और ऐसे ना इस एग्जीबिशन में कुछ पेंटिंग्स देखने के लिए जो स्ट्रेटेजी ऐसे तैयार हुआ था, क्योंकि इतना छोटा पेंटिंग है. दिस वाज अ लेटर फ्रॉम निकोलस रोरिक टू वीरेश सेन. They exchange letters, so we try to kind of display that. So sometimes archive materials really help us, and we put the magnifying glass next to the painting. This was designed by Advait Gadnaikji, and also the senior curators. They kind of devised, okay, painting थोड़ा सा अगर एकदम small size का है तो थोड़ा सा magnifying glass रखा जाए, so people who are coming, they can one by one experience the, see, she is enjoying the painting with a magnifying glass. Also, we got the help from the family side. We received information. We received some of the brush tools, which we also displayed in the museum space. And so this is quite interesting. And also, I would love to show you another exhibition of contemporary artist, Mrinalini Mukherjee. She passed away in the year of 2015. So as a time to time, we have different also mediums. ये भी बहुत ये exhibition view है. 2015 में हुआ था. Her father was Vinod Bihari Mukherjee, whom I already talked about. Her mother was Leela Mukherjee. Both of them were painter and sculptor. So she was having a privileged family background where already there were artists. But if you just remember Ramkinkar Baij, he comes from a different family background. He is a kind of like, he kind of struggled. He chosen this particular field of expression of sculpture. But she kind of innovated this way of storytelling. कुछ figures जैसे तो लग रहा है, but you can see these are all knotting. Yeah, you can just see like the hemp or the jute rope you are using to express the images which are coming to mind. And so you can go to any जैसे 2014 हम लोग चले गए. 2014 you can see there was an exhibition of Amrita Sher-Gil and all. So you can just click there. You can have a little bit information about the exhibition. So you can see 2020, 2019, 2018, every year will offer you certain exhibitions. Now I will stop the share screen, and because we have seen and on my camera. So yeah.
So before we sign off, we thank our supporters: Department of Youth Affairs, Ministry of Youth Affairs and Sports, Ministry of Textiles, Ministry of Culture, Ministry of External Affairs, SRF Foundation, Ashok Leyland, IGNA, Takshila Education Society, Dr. Vikram Seth, JLB Foundation, Rohini Nilakani Philanthropy, Pioneer, Dainik Jagran. Thank you so much for joining in.
Thank you, the whole team of SPIC MACAY. Thank you, Nirja ji. Thank you, Nikhil. Thank you, Shreyans, and the whole team. They are working very hard. And also, I should extend my thanks to all the viewers who, with your patience, experience this whole virtual tour. We tried to make it interactive, and hope to see you soon physically. We will be out of the field. Have a nice day. Have a very interesting Dashera and festival time. And I should also extend my thanks to my whole team of NGMA. Without their hard work, it's not possible. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for that session. Now, at 6 o'clock, we will be having Cinema Classics. Today's film is Dweepa, which is a film directed by Girish Kasaravalli and released in 2002. So see you all at 6 p.m. Thank you.